Hey everybody, thanks for checking in today. Today I'm going to build a breath-controlled subtractive synthesizer entirely inside the Zoia, also including chorus, delay, and reverb effects. The synthesizer will be a fairly simple architecture with two oscillators, a low-pass filter, a VCA. Let's just dive in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a couple oscillators here. So we're going to let's make the color of these white. Color doesn't matter, but I'm colorblind, so I tend to just focus on the contrast here. So we're going to set a sawtooth wave, and then we're going to put another one in, also white. I'm going to set this one to a square wave. I'm going to turn duty cycle on so we can adjust the pulse width. Okay, so there we have our audio out of each of those. Okay, now we're going to put a mixer in so we can adjust the level of those independently. There we go. 2-channel mixer. So we're going to put this output into channel 1, this output into channel 2, and there we go. Now we see that we have our combined oscillators there, the mixer. So the next thing we're going to do is put in a filter. So we're going to go to the state variable filter, change this color just to make it easier for me to differentiate. We have the low pass output on, that's all we're going to do. So we're going to go out of the mixer into that, and you see this is at 27.5 hertz. That's as low as the Zoia filter goes. Because we're breath controlling this, I'm going to put a VCA on the other side of the filter because the VCA does close all the way. And when I have no breath going through my controller, I don't want to hear any sound. Now we'll add in another audio module, the VCA. We'll connect the output of the filter to the input of the VCA. You'll see here we have nothing coming out of the VCA. And that's because both the cutoff of the filter and the VCA level are all the way down. So the first thing we want to do is get MIDI notes in. So we're going to go to interface modules and go to MIDI note in. We'll put that in, and we're going to connect the note to each of the note inputs on these oscillators. All right, and then the next thing we want to do is, well, let's put in an audio output module. All right, so I've connected the VCA output to the left and right audio outputs. So let's turn that filter up. So there we go. All right, so you hear now we have note control, but no expressive control. So to get some expressive control, let's put in here a MIDI CC in, and we're going to, we'll leave it blue, why not? We'll change the controller. This is the continuous controller, or CC number. We're going to use 2 for breath. We're going to connect it to both the filter cutoff and the VCA. Now if I come back here to my controller, we're going to hear some expressive control. All right, now we're opening everything up all the way, so I'm going to attenuate the filter a little bit, the MIDI control of the filter. Okay, now we're going to let's retune the second oscillator to be an octave up. So yeah, there we go. All right, let's put a little bit of resonance on this filter. All right, and the last thing we really need to get breath control here is some pitch bend. Note that if you're setting up a synthesizer like this for keyboard or sequencer control, you'd probably want to add in at least one ADSR envelope so that you could control these shapes from a gate. But because with breath, our envelopes are ideally controlled by our breath instead of just an algorithm, we don't need to worry about gate usually. So with that consideration, the last thing we really need for expressive control is pitch bend. So MIDI pitch bend in. I'm going to change the color a little. Change that to peach. There we go. All right. So I'm going to connect it to the pitch of each oscillator. Now what you're going to hear without attenuating that is it's going to go from minimum to maximum. So without attenuating the pitch bend, it's going to go from minimum pitch to maximum pitch, which is going to be the full 10 or so or 20 or so octaves of these oscillators. Right, so that's not really usable, so we need to attenuate it. Now, I just happen to know from prior testing that if we attenuate this down to 1.778%, that's that's 2 semitones. So we'll do the same thing here. There we go. So now we should have a more playable pitch bend. All right, there we go. So that's fully playable 2-oscillator subtractive synth. Let's give ourselves a little bit more shape control by connecting the breath CC to the duty cycle of the square oscillator. And we're going to attenuate that a little bit so it doesn't close all the way. There we go. Alright, that sounds pretty useful to me. Let's go to a new page on the Zoia and add in some effects and make this more performance ready. So we're going to go up here and add a delay. We're going to do 1 in, 2 out. And a reverb. Let's start off with the plate reverb. So we're going to connect these left to left, right to right. Let's disconnect the VCA from the audio outputs. A little hard to do with one hand, but I'm holding my controller here in the other hand. Now let's connect the VCA to the delay in. Make some tweaks to the delay. We'll lower the time a little bit, increase the feedback, decrease the mod a bit, increase the mix. Just doing all this, I don't know, just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Okay, now let's go to connect the output of the reverb to the left and right on the audio output. Shorten that delay up a little bit, also bring it down a little in the mix. I'm going to bring the delay a little higher, we're going to shorten it even more. And we're going to change our mind. We're going to decrease that feedback a bit more. Okay, now you can see here that we are using about a little over half of our CPU headroom. So that means there's more room. We could put in more oscillators. We could put in a second filter if we wanted. We could add more effects. We could change the effects. The most greedy of the reverbs, we could change that. Let's kill this reverb. Let's put a very greedy one in, which is the ghost verb. Do 2 in, 2 out. Connect it up here. Yeah, so anyway, and there's still room beyond that. I found that with this type of synth architecture, I can basically get a nice chorus, a nice delay, and any of the reverbs in here. And then it's pretty much maxed out if you're using the ghost verb. If you switch back to the hall reverb, it's a lot less. There's also a reverb light. We're going to kill this ghost reverb. We're going to put reverb light in. So we'll connect it up. A reverb light doesn't have any modulation. It's just simple. You select your reverb time and your mix. That's all you have. But it doesn't sound that bad. It doesn't sound bad at all. Let's raise that time a bit just so we can hear something really dramatic here. And so you see with that, we still have 50% of the CPU remaining, so we could throw in a lot more. We could put in, a distortion and a flanger and a phaser, a second delay. There's a lot we could do with that other 50%. So there is a simple but powerful 2 oscillator subtractive synthesizer with full MIDI breath control and some nice sounding effects. I hope that's informative and useful, or possibly entertaining to you. If you have any questions, if you'd like to see me do anything in addition to this, if you'd like to see me build something else, I'm game for the challenge. I'd love to learn more about it, and getting some suggestions from you will spur me to do so. So thanks for watching, and hope to hear from you. Bye now.